Well, February is American Heart Month, a great time to reinforce heart-healthy habits in our everyday food choices. Our next guest has some heart health tips to help keep us and our high blood pressure in check. And here now to tell us more is a registered nurse at the Visiting Nurse Service of New York, Fatima Sanchez, and good to have you.
Good to have you. Thank you for having me.
Glad. So listen, when we talk about American, Heart Month, people really suffer with high blood pressure, and that's something that a lot of Americans contend with. And so walk us through exactly, first of all, somebody doesn't know what hypertension is.
What is hypertension? Is something that we deal with at VNS quite often. While hypertension is the most common medical diagnosis in the United States, 100 million Americans are diagnosed with it, and they deal with it on a different basis. Each person or particular group deals with it differently. African Americans are the top, are the people who deals with it, who are particularly diagnosed a little bit more than others. And with that, we have to be able to eradicate that and combat that so that people, they don't have high blood pressure, heart disease, and lower that risk.
Right. So when we talk about hypertension, high blood pressure, right, I know one of the things that can help out is how we eat.
Right. That's the most important. It's the foods that we eat. We have to limit those foods that we eat, like sodium, low saturated fats. Those fats, try your leaner meats. Look at read the food labels. When you read the food labels, typically you try to have at least 1,300 milligrams of sodium. That's usually a half a teaspoon, which is ideal for Americans to eat. And we don't try not to use salt on pre-made food, as they already come with salt. Eat your fish, which has the omega-3 fatty acids in them to help combat that heart disease and lower your cholesterol levels. And you can restrict your sodium intake by using different things like peppers and lemons and more natural things on your food. And we can also use fiber as a bulk up method to help that digestive tract lower cholesterol. As well as read the food labels when you go into the store before you purchase your food, and make healthier choices like fruits, vegetables, and your potatoes and carbs and things like that.
Yeah.
And
and
at VNS, our research team did publish a study with the American Journal of Hypertension, which found that team-based community care reduced the blood pressures of people who recently had a stroke by 10 points. So with that evidence-based practice, we use that and to implement in the care at VNS to lower that risk of hypertension by teaching it to our patients on a daily basis.
So walk me through a little bit about protecting your heart, right? We hear a lot of people talk about you ought to protect your heart and these things that are necessary to protect your heart. What does an individual need to do, first of all, if you're saying, hey, well, I need to protect that heart?
Walk is the first thing. Exercise. You don't have to have high impact exercises. You can have low impact exercises. A high impact exercise is more your cardio.
Right.
Or you can do low impact exercises, especially for the elderly or the older population. You can just move at home with stretch bands and moving your feet and things of that nature. Drink more water and take your daily regimen of medications that is prescribed by your doctor. Those things will protect your heart, and watch what you eat when you're sitting. If you have a sedentary lifestyle, you want to include more your fruits and vegetables in your diet.
So we hear the word a lot about heart disease, right? And we hear that there's, heart disease comes and it affects so many millions of Americans, but also on some fronts, it can be prevented. So the question goes, and what are some of the warning signs that I need to pay attention to so that way I know that I'm guarding myself against this?
Yes, the warning signs is pressure in the chest that radiate down the arm. You may have a light tingling in the face. Some of them is shortness of breath, cold sweats, fatigue, unusual fatigue, not just the fatigue that you lay down and you get up and you feel really tired. Fatigue that goes on for maybe 2 or 3 days and you're not your normal self. Those are some of the heart attack signs and symptoms that you want to be mindful about, and you want to call your doctor immediately. If you find that you have either one or two of those symptoms, you want to make sure you reach out to your doctor immediately or call 911 if you have that slurred speech or that pressure and the tingling and that radiates to the back.
You talked about the doctor. Many times people are not going to the doctor until the last minute. A word of advice about going to the doctor.
You have to implement that doctor. It's crucial, especially now that we're working more and we're not paying attention. A doctor's appointment twice a year is the most important thing that you can do to combat heart disease as well as hypertension and lower your pressure and take your medications on a regular basis.
And so, what else should we know that maybe, like I tell everybody else, we're not paying attention to? What else should we know about heart disease?
Heart disease is the #1 killer, and heart disease is silent. And we have to tell those patients to get moving, exercise, keep up with your daily regimen of medications again, and eat a balanced, well-balanced diet that includes fruits, vegetables of different colors, and things of that nature.
And so, eating makes a difference. Walking makes a difference. Water very important. Intake of water.
Yes, intake of water of how many cups? 4 to 6 cups a day. That's only, just be mindful of those patients with chronic heart failure or heart disease that may be restricted by the doctor. So you have to follow that regimen of that water intake with the doctors.
And if somebody's saying, what's the ideal blood pressure for a person to have? What should I be concerned? When should I really be going to see that doctor?
Right. You should, if you notice your blood pressure is 140/60, ideal, 140/80, a little bit older. When you start to trend up in numbers, you want to reach out to your doctor to make that appointment. And if you're with VNS is one of those people that you can always reach out to your nurse, where we have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week hotline that patients can reach out to us, and we can help you, triage you into the next level of care.
Well, Fatima, we want to thank you so much for coming and sharing with us as
Thank
it's
you.
American
Heart
Month, and we thank you so much for coming and being with us. You said you were nervous. You did well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Good to have you, too.
All righty, listen.
you.
For more information, you can call 800-675-0391 or visit their website at vnsny.org. Don't go anywhere. When we return, we're going to talk to the editor-in-chief for a laptop magazine. Stay tuned. We're coming right back.